Picture two houses on the same street, same neighborhood, same school district, same year built. The house on the left belongs to a couple who spent 35 years in corporate careers. Combined peak income, $310,000 per year. Two nice cars in the driveway. Vacations every summer. Good schools for the kids. A kitchen renovation in 2019 that came out beautifully. The house on the right belongs to a couple who taught school their entire lives. Combined peak income, $118,000 per year. One car. Camping trips. The original kitchen from 1987, still functional, still clean. Both couples retired the same year. Same age. The teachers had $940,000 saved. The corporate couple had $340,000. The corporate couple earned nearly 3 times as much over their careers. They ended up with less than half. This is not an accident. It is not bad luck. It is not a story about investment mistakes or market timing or financial tragedy. It is a story about the gap. And understanding the gap is the only financial concept that actually matters in the long run. The gap is the distance between what you earn and what you spend. That's it. That's the whole thing. Every retirement account, every investment strategy, every tax optimization, every compound interest calculation, all of it is downstream of the gap. Without a gap, none of those tools have anything to work with. With a large enough gap, almost any strategy works. The corporate couple had a gap too. In most years, they saved 8 to 12% of their income. On $310,000, that is $25,000 to $37,000 per year, which sounds like a lot. And it is, compared to the average American. But the teachers had a gap of 31% to their income. On $118,000, that is $36,000 to $37,000 per year, almost identical in dollar terms, but representing more than 3 times the percentage of income. And percentage is what compounds. Because here is the thing about the gap that most people miss. It determines 2 things simultaneously. It determines how fast your savings grow, and it determines how much income you will need in retirement. The corporate couple, retiring on their lifestyle, needs approximately $220,000 per year to maintain what they had. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that requires $5.5 million. They have $340,000. The teachers, retiring on their lifestyle, need approximately $83,000 per year. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that requires $2.075 million. They have $940,000. They are not there yet, but they are close. And they need far less, because they spent far less. The gap is not just a savings tool, it is a retirement cost reducer. Every dollar you do not habituate yourself to spending is a dollar you will never need to replace. Let me give these families names. Call the teachers Frank and June. Call the corporate couple Michael and Sandra. Frank and June are not ascetics. They are not extreme savers who deprive themselves of joy. They take trips, road trips, national parks, occasional flights. They eat out. They have hobbies. June quilts. Frank plays golf twice a month at the municipal course. What they do not do is upgrade things that work. They do not replace cars on a cycle. They do not renovate kitchens because the neighborhood is changing. They do not buy a boat because a colleague bought a boat. They do not join clubs they rarely use or subscribe to services they never open. Michael and Sandra are not reckless. They are not spendthrifts. They are, by most measures, responsible adults who made reasonable decisions. The kitchen renovation was overdue. The vacations were earned. The cars were sensible purchases in the year they were made. The difference is not discipline. It is identity. Frank and June never built an identity around a lifestyle that required a high income to maintain. Michael and Sandra did incrementally, gradually, invisibly, over 35 years. By the time they were 55, their identity and their retirement were in direct conflict. They needed the income to feel like themselves, and the income was about to stop. Here is how this happens. Not in one dramatic decision, in three quiet mechanisms that most people never see until they are inside them. Mechanism 1. Lifestyle inflation. Every raise, every promotion, every bonus, it gets spent. Not wasted. Spent. On things that are reasonable and deserved, and that make life slightly better in the moment. A slightly nicer apartment when the lease is up. A slightly newer car when the old one needs work. A slightly more expensive vacation now that the budget allows it. The problem is not any individual upgrade. The problem is that each upgrade becomes the new floor. You cannot go back to the apartment, the car, the vacation you used to have. They would feel like a step backward, so you defend the floor, and the floor rises with every pay increase. At $60,000 per year, you live at $60,000. At $120,000, you live at $120,000. At $200,000, you live at $200,000. The savings rate, the gap, stays roughly constant as a percentage, sometimes even shrinks, because the floor is always rising. Frank and June did not do this. Not because they lacked ambition, because they made a decision, early, that their lifestyle would not automatically expand with their income. When June got tenure and her salary jumped, they increased their savings contribution by the full amount. Their lifestyle did not change. Their gap grew. Mechanism 2. Social calibration. Human beings are social animals. We calibrate our sense of normal and enough against the people around us. This is not vanity. It is biology. It is how the brain works. Michael and Sandra worked in corporate environments where the reference group, the people they saw every day, compared themselves to, measured success against, had homes with renovated kitchens, leased new cars, took international vacations. Normal, in their world, was expensive. Frank and June worked in schools. Their reference group drove older cars, packed lunches, talked about camping. Normal in their world was modest. Same country, same era, completely different calibration. You will spend roughly what your reference group spends, not because you are weak, because you are human. The most powerful financial decision most people never consciously make is choosing their reference group. Mechanism 3. The retirement identity trap. Here is where it gets genuinely difficult. Michael and Sandra, approaching retirement, began to realize that their savings were insufficient for the lifestyle they had built. The rational response, reduce the lifestyle, was not really available to them. Not because they lacked the discipline, but because the lifestyle had become identity. To stop going to the club, to sell the second car, to cancel the vacation they had taken every summer for 20 years, these felt not like financial adjustments, but like losses of self, like becoming someone smaller. Frank and June had no such trap. They were retiring into the life they had always lived. The same camping trips, now with more time. The same municipal golf course, now more often. The same kitchen, now cooked in every morning. They were not making do. They were arriving. Their retirement was the continuation of a life they had already chosen, not the diminished version of a life they could no longer afford. Subscribe before we continue. We go this deep every single week, and what comes next is the part most people find hardest to hear. Quick note, I am not a financial advisor, And everything on this channel is based on personal research and analysis, not professional credentials. The stories I share are composites designed to illustrate real financial patterns, not specific individuals. Your situation is unique. Please consult a qualified financial advisor before making any decisions about your retirement strategy. Now, let's continue. Here are the rules that Frank and June followed. Not explicitly, not from a book, but consistently, over decades. These are the rules that built the gap. Rule 1. The raise stays in the gap. Every raise, every bonus, every income increase. The first decision is how much goes to savings before the lifestyle has a chance to claim it. Not all of it, but a meaningful portion, automated, moved before it becomes visible as spending money. Frank and June did 50% of every raise, half to savings, half to life. Over 35 years, this single rule contributed more to their retirement outcome than any investment decision they ever made. Rule 2. The upgrade requires a reason. Not, it would be nice. Not, we can afford it. Not, everyone else has one. A reason. The current thing is broken. The current thing is creating a genuine problem that costs more to tolerate than to fix. The upgrade serves a function that cannot be served another way. June's 2009 Camry has 187,000 miles. It runs. It gets her where she needs to go. It does not require a replacement. The $42,000 she did not spend on a new car in 2021 is now $54,000 in her investment account. Rule 3. The comparison is with your past self, not your neighbor. The question is never, do we have as much as the Hendersons? The question is, are we better off than we were 5 years ago? Progress against your own baseline, not performance against someone else's highlight reel. This sounds simple. It is the hardest rule in practice. Because the Hendersons are visible. Your own 5-year trajectory requires arithmetic. Rule 4. Cheap is not the goal. Value is. Frank and June are not cheap people. They spend money on things they love. Frank's golf clubs are good ones. He plays twice a week now that he is retired, and quality equipment matters to him. June spends real money on fabric. They eat well. What they do not do is spend money on things they do not love, simply because spending is what people at their income level do. The expensive gym membership used twice. The subscription boxes that pile up. The restaurant meals eaten out of habit rather than pleasure. Cheap is spending less on everything. Value is spending less on things that do not matter, so you can spend more on things that do. The outcome looks similar from the outside. The internal experience is completely different. Here is what I want you to understand about Frank, June, Michael, and Sandra. Michael and Sandra are not cautionary tales. They are not failures. They are the majority. They did what most people do, what the culture, the advertising, the reference group, the sense of having earned it all pointed them toward doing. Frank and June are not heroes. They did not sacrifice joy for financial security. They built a life where the joy and the financial security were the same thing. The camping trip was not the consolation prize for not being able to afford a resort. It was the thing they actually wanted to do. The question retirement asks every single person is, who are you without the income? What is your life when the salary stops? For Frank and June, the answer was easy. The life was already there. The income had been funding it comfortably for decades, with plenty left over. For Michael and Sandra, the answer required negotiation. A difficult, expensive, identity-threatening negotiation with a lifestyle that had become load-bearing. The gap is not a savings strategy. It is an answer to that question, built 1 year at a time, long before retirement asks it. I want to leave you with one number and one question. The number 25. Multiply your annual spending by 25. That is approximately how much you need saved to retire on your current lifestyle indefinitely, at a historically safe withdrawal rate. If you spend $80,000 per year, you need $2 million. If you spend $40,000 per year, you need $1 million. Every dollar you remove permanently from your annual spending removes $25 from your retirement target. The math cuts both ways. Saving more gets you there faster. Spending less gets you there sooner and keeps you there longer. The question, what does your life actually look like? Not what do you want it to look like, but what does it actually look like? When the income stops, is it the continuation of something you have already built? Or is it a negotiation with the lifestyle you have accumulated? Frank is on the golf course. June is quilting. The kitchen is the same one it has always been. And this morning, with nowhere to be, she made breakfast in it slowly. That life did not happen to them. They built it. One unreplaced car, one unclaimed raise, one unchosen upgrade at a time. Tell me in the comments, what is one thing you spend money on that, if you are honest, you do not actually value as much as it costs? I want to know. I read every single comment. Subscribe. Because next week, we are covering the upgrade cycle, the specific pattern of spending that costs most Americans $200,000 in retirement wealth without them ever noticing it happening. It connects directly to everything we talked about today.